Test, test. Can anyone hear me? I'm trying to get a mic check real quick. I got all kind of microphones going in and out, so just want to see if you guys can actually hear me. Thanks. If you can hear me, just put a thumbs up on the chat, so I can know that you guys can hear me out there. Thanks. Hey, can you guys hear me? Um, I see YouTube. YouTube is up. Facebook. Facebook is also up. You can hear me on both platforms if you're watching. Hey, can you guys hear me? Um, I see YouTube. YouTube is up. Facebook. Facebook is also up. You can hear me on both platforms if you're watching. Hey, can you guys hear me?
I'm starting to
I
get
see
echoes.
YouTube. YouTube is up. Facebook. Facebook is also up. All right, so I turned off the echoes. This is actually funny when you're watching yourself on both ends. We're about to start here in a few minutes. Got some servers still booting up. I had to reboot one of my servers this morning. It's been running I guess too long, and needed to do some maintenance on it. So for my folks that are doing the labs, if you are participating in the live lab, let me know. I do have a few folks that did register, and still waiting to hear back from them for their console setup. So if you're one of those folks that are watching and you requested live sessions so you can participate, just go ahead and contact me so that I can get you squared away to log into the servers remotely and get you up and running. So this is a continuation of Active Directory. We're going to go into part 2 of the series today. Part 1 is already loaded online, so normally what I'll do, I'll stream it first and we'll go over certain things, and then once the streaming is done, I'll clean up the video and just post the actual video where it's a shorter clip online. So normally these sessions are a little bit longer just because we're doing Q&As and folks are talking about stuff or whatever. Well, once I post it to YouTube, I'll cut out a lot of the stuff and just actually post the actual content directly to the channel. So if you haven't yet subscribed, just go ahead and look us up, Tech Vibes, on all platforms, as you can see up there. We're doing this to help out folks that are new to tech, want to get into tech, or want to break into tech. We're taking you way back into the boondocks of basically where it starts. And I think Active Directory is one of those places where, as a help desk professional, it helps us to grow from there. And then we're going to build up. Okay, so you guys will see a lot of things that you probably already know, which is cool because it could be a refresher for you. And, from there, we're going to build up. it's like going to a training platform and they break you down and then they build you all the way back up to where you're supposed to be. So, without further ado, we're going to be starting here shortly. Still waiting to see if you can hear me. Please just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me on all platforms. Thanks. All right. So here we are. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's check out to see where we at. So I am back. We are working on our console, and as you know, I fire up on Proxmox all the time. That's what I work on. Let's go ahead and check this camera real quick. Okay, good to go. Main cam is good. Okay, I'm checking out YouTube real quick.
Great.
Okay, so I'm just trying to get a feed up for YouTube real quick. Okay, so I can see the chat because sometimes folks post in different side of the chats, and okay, so I'm just trying to get a feed up for
Sometimes I don't
YouTube
end up
real
seeing
quick.
it.
So just so I can see the chat. Okay, here we go. So let's get started. Let's get started.
Okay,
Let me see
so I
if my
can see
cam
the
is
chat
back.
because
All right.
sometimes folks
All
post
right. So
in
welcome everyone.
different side of the chats,
Today
and
is
so I'm just trying to
Saturday,
get a feed
28th of December. The
up
year is
for
almost
YouTube
over.
real
So
quick.
Happy New Year when it
So
comes.
just so I can
And
see
hopefully you guys had
the
a great
chat.
holiday. Okay, here we go. So let's get started. Let's get started.
I am
Let me
getting
see if my
feedback,
cam is
so
back.
because
All right.
sometimes folks
All
post
right. So
in
welcome everyone.
different side of the chats, and
Today is
so I'm just trying to
Saturday,
get a feed
28th of December. The
up.
year. There we go. It's rough when you got multiple streams going on. I'm getting kind of new used to this environment where I stream to multiple platforms. First, it used to just be YouTube. Now I'm on Facebook, working with Twitter, and all these other platforms. It's so many things you gotta fix while you do this. So forgive me for the amateur behavior. I'm still getting used to it. All right. Anyways, let's get started. So we are going to just do a recap of what we have been doing, and I'm just gonna go back over and cover where if you guys missed it. Um, let's try to see if I can bring up what we've been doing so far, so you guys have a general understanding of where we are. Oh, thank you. I had a subscriber. All right. So we are working on Active Directory. For most of you that haven't really been watching, so this is where we have started on. This is a nice recap of where we are. So we started on Active Directory build, and this is our scenario. You have been assigned as an IT engineer for Global Tech Solutions, which is a company that we've been working on. It's a fictitious name that I came up with. I really don't know if this company exists. In fact, I probably should check it out. But either way, there's no copyright infringements, nothing intended. We're just using the name for just lab purposes. So nothing is real. It's not a real scenario. It's just something that we came up with in the lab. So anything that we're building out is not on the live system. Okay. So even if this name exists, it's just for demo purposes. When you're building out your lab, you will change Global Tech to your last name, right? Dash Tech Solutions. So that means you don't have to worry about any type of infringement rights because you're using your name on the lab. Okay, we're gonna build out a company's network infrastructure and ensure that centralized management via Active Directory, which is right here, is set. We're going to apply some security policies, and then we're going to configure network services across multiple locations, and then set up VPN for our remote users. So I'm not going to go back over this scenario for the future. I'm just going to refer back to those videos. So I've been doing these videos now for 2 weeks straight just to get everyone up to par. So moving forward, we're gonna just keep going and building out on top of the lab. Okay. Um, the network infrastructure looks something similar to this. I do apologize because there's a error that I found on here. So if you look at the IP address, this is a 1.1/24. These are supposed to be a 2.1, and this would have been a 3.1. I caught that when I was doing site and services, and I realized that with your sites and services, the IP addresses are three different networks. So this would have been our two network, our three network, and then our one network. So once we set up sites and services later, you guys will see what I'm talking about as far as this piece. But as far as our layout, everything else is still the same. I'll make these adjustments later, and then update the slides for you guys to see. Our OU structure is going to be something similar to this right here. So basically, we're taking what was given to us from like the the project manager, and everything was delivered, and say, okay, as an IT engineer, I want you guys to build this. So then we're taking this back to the team, and we're saying to ourselves, okay, if we were supposed to go by everything they're asking us, this is what we're envisioning our structure should look like, right? So you have the branch details. The LA branch for this side would look similar to this, and then our London branch, which in our European side, will look something like this. So this is basically what the focus is. We're trying to build out our structure, right, to get everything up and running. So moving along to the group structure, we working to get our groups now structured and organized as so forth, right? So as you can see, the group names, we'll be working with distribution groups and also security groups for everyone that's included in the organization, regardless of where they work, staff, managers, and so forth. So this is kind of the layout of what we've been working on to try to get our organization up and running. Now, according to the plan, right, this is something similar to what we have started working with as well. As you can see the layout, right? Hands-on lab, this is what we are trying to get in place. I'll try to bring this up a little bit more so you guys can see. So we're going to design and implement all of this. The overview of the global technologies is all of this right here. This is what we're focused on. Regional offices, like I said earlier, would be the West Coast and the European branch. It's a consulting company based out of New York. Scenario right here, right here, right here. Then the OU structure, like I said, this is our plan to build out and try to go. Right? So this is where we will recap and try to get you guys pulled. Once we are in here, we're going to roll all the way to GPOs and then permissions and share drives and all that stuff. So that was a recap for basically everything that we have been doing so far, so you guys can see what the layout is and actually what the plan is of what we're building. Okay, so let me move these slides over and let's get back into the lab environment. So I'm going to take you guys back into just a small recap. I'm going to run through a little bit faster. The original video is on the my YouTube channel. So if you go back to YouTube right here, if you go to YouTube and you go to my channel, you will see the original video that was posted right here. So just go to episode 2 part 1. You'll see that this has been posted. It's a cleaner version that's been posted, and this will be the recap of this. So go back and watch this. If you want to go slower, this is where you will need to go and watch this part. This is a slow version of it. Okay, part 1. But I'm going to also go back over this piece just so you guys are tracking, but I'm just going to be going at a faster pace. Okay. All right, back into the lab. So we're going to start off with DC01 as our primary DC. We need to go ahead and add a password. As far as building out from scratch, you got to remember that this is a brand new machine, brand new server that's been built out, and there's nothing on it. So what I would like to do from here, let's go to snapshot and let's take a snapshot of this, and let's just call this Genesis, right? And we took a snapshot, so this is basically nothing. If we had to revert all the way back to the beginning, then this is our snapshot for the beginning. DC02 is the same thing. This haven't been built out yet, so we're still working on it. And DC03, like I said, also DC03 have been built. So we'll just go ahead and do a snapshot as well. And we're going to take out the RAM, take a snapshot of this. PC01 is our PC console that we're going to use to connect. It still haven't been built out yet, so we will work on this as well. Alright, so jump back into DC01. Let's go ahead and bring this up, and we're going to be configuring it. So by default, we need to give this a password. So let's go ahead and put in our default password. And then now we need to log in, so let's Control Alt Delete. So logging in for the first time normally takes a little bit. So the first thing you want to do when your server starts up from the beginning, we're going to do what I call housekeeping rules, which is just basically making sure that your box is configured with a few things before we start doing installation. First one is going to be changing the name. Second is going to be making sure it has a network address. And if you have your network template built out, we already know what our network names and IP addresses will be. So the first thing you want to do is just go ahead, and I like to do it this way. There's multiple ways to do it, but I like to do it this way. So just type in network, and it will show you your network connections. I'll just go to view network connections right here, and I'll just go to properties, and right here I'm gonna set my IP address right here. Now I can pull up a PowerShell, and we can just check to see what IP address was the box picking up. DHCP is running on the system, so you can see that this machine was already getting a DHCP address by default so that it can connect to the network. We're going to change these settings. Some of it is actually going to stay the same because it's true, but we'll change these settings to match what it needs to be. I'll minimize this. So let's go to obtain, and we're going to use the following. So we're going to do 192.168.1.101, which is the number for this box. The DC01 is going to be 101. The subnet is going to stay the same, and then the default gateway will be 192.168.1.254. Alright. DNS will be the same name of the primary, so we'll do 192.168.1 itself, and then we can do 101 itself. Secondary, we can do 192.168.1.102. So those are basically 101, 102, and 103 are actually going to be the domain controller's addresses. for this exercise. Click OK and click close. Now the next thing I would like to do is go to firewall, and I want to just turn these off so that we don't get any type of interference with trying to communicate across the network, because the firewall will block everything for communication purposes. Best practices is always to keep these on, and then you'll just write policies. But this is not we're not doing a policy class right now. So I will skip this, and then once we start talking about security and so forth later on in future classes, then I'll show you guys how you will do firewall rules and so forth. But that's for future. All right. So we'll go ahead and make sure the firewalls are turned off. And then the next thing we're going to do is going to do a PC name. And excuse me. We're going to rename this PC. We can do it up here. Let's call this DC01 and click next. There are multiple ways to do this, so bear in mind that if the way you see me doing it is not the way you do it, that is okay. With Windows, there's just multiple ways you can do certain things. So once I have the name and the IP address set, firewall rules are turned off. I'm just going to go ahead and restart now, which is fine. And let's just go ahead and check on my other DC. And so now if you're starting from scratch and you want to learn how to install, this is a stage where it will install from scratch. Simple, just pop your CD or your USB in and select the settings, and it will take you through the installation piece. DC3 is something we'll need to configure because it's a bare metal server. It does not have the GUI interface, so by default this is done on purpose for the class so that you guys can see how it's done. So if you're not familiar with working in PowerShell, now this is where you would need to learn or understand how to perform these steps. So let's walk you through steps. Right here it's saying the user password must be changed. If you remember before when I started the other server, it was the same thing. It did ask for a password in the beginning. So let's go ahead and add our password here. Okay, so it's changing the password. Okay, so the password have been changed. Let me go ahead and drop this down. Someone's asking if we're live, so let me just go ahead and let them know. Yes, we are live. Okay. So once our password have been changed and we're in, we need to go ahead and click OK. Okay. So I guess it's still thinking, so we'll come back to it. So DC01, let's go back into here and let's log in because this is the main box that we're going to be working on for today. All right, let's go ahead and I guess the keyboard was acting up. That's weird. All right, so I'm logging into DC01. Let's check on DC02 at 50%. DC03 still in the welcome box. So let's see if I could get a response from this guy. It says welcome, and then I don't know what just happened. It's kind of weird. I'm just going to go ahead and reset. And wait for it. DC01 is up. Let's check on our PC. So PC01 is the machine that we're going to be working on as our PC. So let's go ahead and check it. And then skip. And then right here, we don't have internet connection. So we're going to go ahead and say I don't have. And then enter the name. So the name is just going to be whatever you want to name it. I'm just going to call this right here, which is fine. And then password, we won't enter one because we're going to set this later. Uncheck all of these. We're not sending anything across the network or the internet. Accept. And then as you know, Windows is going to go through its long phase of welcoming you. So we'll jump back over to our DC and then we'll get back to that later. So our box is up and running. So first thing you want to do now, like I said, this is a recap. We're going to run through and install our first domain controller and get our files up and running. So we're going to do add roles and features right here and go ahead and click next, next. DC01 is up and then that's the IP address. So we're going to go ahead and click next. Remember we did Active Directory domain services. So over here, Active Directory services, click add features. And then we're going to click add DNS with it as well and click next. These are the only two things that we will install together for now. We'll go ahead and click next and then everything else that's here, you want group policy because we're going to install that, so we'll just accept the default. Click next again, click next, and like if I'm going too fast, like I said, the prior video is up and running where you guys can go and take it slow. So this is just a recap. And I'm going to go ahead and click install. Now the installation for this does not take a long time. It really just depends on your system and how fast your CPU RAM and all that stuff combined are. So let this run through. Let's go back and check on our box. DC02 is installing updates, so it's almost ready. And then let's turn back on this controller and see what's going on with them. PC02 is up, so we can go ahead and do some basic settings on this as well. So we're going to go down here and just change the network settings. You can right click and go there, and you can go through the advanced settings here, change the network settings through these if you choose to. There's so many different ways you can do all of the networks and so forth. But by default, I said I like to go to start and just click type in network, and I like to just go to view from here and manage this. This cable was disconnected on purpose just because I needed to disconnect it when we were installing Windows 11. Alright, so let's go back and turn this cable on. Go to hardware and network device, and we're going to just disable, turn it off. Go back to console. Now look at it, you can see that it's now back up and running. So let's turn this PC name and let's change this now to PC01. So we need to rename this PC. And we'll restart there. PC03 is back up and running. Let's see if we can log in. Just Control Alt Delete. Okay. So I'm in. It is configuring right now. And okay, so just waiting for the diagnostic to come up. So right here, we'll just hit number 2. And basically, it's just going to load up sconfig, which is our server config. And then from here, we'll be able to set up this DC once we're ready. I'm going to jump back over to my DC01, and this should be complete. Yep. So now we can click close, and then from here, whenever you see this yellow signal or yellow sign, it just means that you have action that's needed to be taken. Alright, so from here, we're just going to go ahead and promote this server to a domain controller. Click next. It's going to add a new virus because it's going to be the first virus. First domain in this queue, or the first domain controller that's been set up. So we need to create the root domain name. So it's going to be globaltech.com. Right? Just like that. Yep, that's the name that we're working with. Click next. Now we need to set the DSLR password. I spoke about this before, but like I said, this is one of those passwords that you need to make sure you don't share with anyone in case Active Directory crashes or something happens where you have to do some type of restore or backup, whatever. This is that special password that you will need. Okay, so let's go ahead and add one in. And we're gonna go ahead and click next. Next again here, and then our net bias will jump in. Okay, so global tech is there, good to go. We're gonna click next. And then from here, you will see the location of where the database will be loaded. Click next. Click next. Okay, all prerequisites have been successfully passed. So we'll just click install. All right, so we're just waiting for this to actually load up. We're going to do the same thing for DC02 while DC01 configures. All right, so right now DC02 is up and running, so we're just checking to see. And DC01 should be restarting right now, applying all those updates. DC03 is on standby, waiting for configuration. So is PC01 and DC02 and DC01. So we're basically just going to go ahead and do the same configurations on DC02. Accept the defaults, and then we're in. Like I said, we're going to just go ahead and do this real quick. So network, and then we're just going to PC name, change this, and this is going to be DC02 and restart. So we got DC03 stage and ready to join. PC01 is also staged and ready to join. DC02 is restarting. And then let's go back to our main system. This is applying the settings, so we should be ready to rock steady here shortly. Yep, so we're just waiting right now for DC01 to finish applying its updates. Let's check on DC02. DC02 is up and running and waiting. Same thing with these other two. Alright. All right, DC01 is up and running, so let's just go ahead and log back in and check out. There you go. So global tech is good to go. You can see by just looking at it that it was installed. So before I jump in, let's just go ahead and do a snapshot of this. Okay, so I want to set all of these at the same stage. Okay, snapshots have been conducted, so let's go back to DC01 and let's just log in and see where we at. Alright, so server manager is up and running, and we're just going to check out to see if we have Active Directory services installed. So just want to give this a little bit of time to load up, and then I can see Active Directory sites and services, Active Directory users and computers. So this is good to go. So we know that it is loaded up. So as you can see, Global Tech is here up and running. If you go through, you can see that the Active Directory module is now fully functional, and we have our first forest built out. So with that being said, now that your forest is built out, what we can do from here now is try to get our other domain controllers online. So what we're going to do first is I will show you some tricks. I like to do a lot of stuff in PowerShell. So this is where we're going to get deep down and dirty. We're going to confirm what domain controllers are on the network first in PowerShell. So let's just go ahead and open up PowerShell and go to get, and we're going to do get ADD, so AD for Active Directory, and then the next is domain, and then controller right there, and then we're going to do a filter, and then on the filter we're going to do star and then pipe, and then we're going to do select object like so, and then we're just going to do IPv4 address, and then we're going to filter by operating system. So basically what we're telling the system is to go get um, Active Directory domain controllers, filter, and then select object. Oh, this should be object name. Sorry. So this should be object name. So we're going to filter by selecting it by the name, IP address, and the operating system. And then we're going to hit enter. So what this just did is just telling me that um, DC01 is the only active domain controller on this network. This is its IP address where we filtered by name, then filter by IPv4 address right there, and then we filtered by operating system, which is right there. Had another subscriber, thank you so much. And then right here, Windows Server data evaluation. So this is on our primary DC, and this is how we find out based on our forest that we just built. This is the only domain controllers here. So what we're going to do now, we're going to go ahead and add all our other domain controllers to this box. So let's start off with DC02 first. This is the version that I'm going to do right now with DC02 is basically the GUI version. So adding a new controller, the GUI version, this is how you do it. So just go to add roles and features here, go to next, similar function, DC02, 102, click next. We're going to add the domain right there, and then all of the roles similar. We're going to add in DNS as well, similar to how we did the last one. Then we're going to click next right here, and then accept the default. Click next, 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 and then install. All right. Once this is installed, we need to promote it like we did the last time on DC01. Now, while this is loaded, we're going to jump on DC03 and let's start working on this on the GUI side. So now we need to do some housekeeping rules over here. So this is all PowerShell. So the first thing we're going to do is just hit number 2, and we're going to rename the computer. So this needs to be DC03. We're going to hit OK, and then we're going to hit no because we don't want to restart right now. And then we're going to go to 7, and we want to enable remote desktop, and we're going to do a number 1, hit OK, hit enter again. Then we're going to go to 8, and we're going to set this because this is picking up a 175. So hit 1 right here, and then we're going to set the network address first. So this goes to a 1, and then we're going to change it from DHCP to static, so S, and then we're going to enter the address that we need. Remember, this is 103, so we hit enter. Subnet mask is the same, so we'll just hit enter. Default gateway is the same, so we hit enter, and then we should be good to go. Now let's go back to 8 again and make sure that, okay, it didn't take something, so we hit 1 again, and the default gateway and the DNS is the same. Okay, so we need to hit 1. I think we messed something up. S for stat, enter the static, enter. Subnet mask 255.255.255.0, hit enter, Default gateway 192.168.1.254. Enter. Okay. Alright, so let's go back in and double check. There we go. So we're going to now set the DNS servers for this one. So we're going to hit number 2 here. Preferred DNS server is going to be 192.168.1.101, which is our primary, and then 192.168.1.102, which are secondary, and then enter. So now the DNS settings are set in our network settings, and then we have a proper IP address. That's good to go. And name was good to go. So now let's go ahead and restart this server. And we're just going to hit a Y right here. And we should now go back to DC02 and see what's happening. Okay, so DC02 is ready for us again. So let's go back over and click close. Remember, whenever you see the triangle, means we need to do something. So on the GUI version, this is how you promote this to a domain controller. You promote this here. Now before, when we started in the beginning, remember we did a new forest. So since our forest is already built, we're going to add a domain controller to an existing domain. Right? So this is how you will be doing this. So we basically need to find the domain. globalcheck.com. Change the permissions that we need. And then let's type in our password. All right, let's see if it picks this up. All right, so now we need to enter our recovery password. And then click next right here. And we're going to go ahead and click here. Replicate from any DC is fine. Next. All the same, the default. Next. Prereqs is good. And then we will click install. This is how you would add a domain controller to an existing domain using the GUI version. Okay, this is the GUI version of it. Now let's jump back over to DC03 where we're going to do this on the bare metal side, where this is now not the GUI version. This is just straight PowerShell. So let's go ahead and enter our password to get back into the box. Alright, so we've already did everything. It's DC03, as you can see, is good to go. And we have our everything set, the basic housekeeping rules. So what I will need to do, we need to exit to PowerShell because now we need to use PowerShell to do the rest of the configuration. So we're going to hit 15 here and hit enter. And now that we're in PowerShell, we are going to work on doing a few things. First thing I like to do is ping my network. So I want to make sure that I have connectivity to all of these locations. So first thing I'm going to hit is DC01. Can I talk to it? Good. DC02. Probably going to get an error. Okay, no, it allowed me. Because I don't remember turning the firewalls off for there. And then I can resolve to myself, obviously. Now let's try to hit the gateway. Okay, super. So I can hit all of these, right? So that means communication across my network is working, right? So let's clear the screen real quick. And now let's go back into getting this computer up and running. So let's do an add right here. And I want to add this computer to the domain. So domain name, and then I'm gonna just do the domain name, and then the name of the domain is Global Tech, right? And then we're gonna just do restart. So now it's gonna ask me for an account. Remember, you want to do make sure this is spelled right. I don't know how many times we messed up spelling administrator. ADMINISTRATOR. Right. And click OK. Alright, so couldn't be contacted. Domain name. Ah, dang it, that's not what I did. So this needs to be globaltech.com. Let's try this again. And there you go. So it took it that time. Typo. And basically what we're doing, we are using that command to join the computer to the AD location. Okay, so if we go back over here, DC2 is applying settings. And let's check out DC01. What's happening over here? Let's go back. All right, here's my fancy command again. All right, so as you can see now, running this shows me now that DC02 is also a domain controller, because it's, even though it's installing, I can see it by just running this command by itself. I can see that it came online, right? And the IP address haven't been picked up yet because it's still restarting, but at least this can show me all the DCs that are working. And we're gonna just use this command to keep filtering to see when we provision all our domain controllers on the network. So let's see how DC3 is looking. So we need to do log back in. Okay, so if you're looking at DC03, now you can see some changes, right? So you'll see now that DC03 is good to go, and then it was joined to globaltech.com successfully using our command earlier. So now let's go back to PowerShell. So let's hit 15 again. And this time we're going to now install the Active Directory server role. Remember, this is all PowerShell based. So what we need to do now is to install. So install ADDS and then D. If you hit the tab here button, if you trying to remember the command, sometimes you do the command, and if you are in the right location or close to the name, you can hit tab to try to figure it out. Okay, so install ADDS domain, so DOM So domain controller, domain name, and then we're gonna do install DNS as well, and then we're gonna do pop, make sure it asks for credential. So the credentials, and then we're gonna say when you need credentials, go ahead and get the credentials. So get the credentials by populating, by asking me for the credentials, and then we're gonna do confirm. And then we're gonna say confirm false. So when you hit enter, it should populate. There you go. And then now we're gonna do globotech.com/administrator, and then password that's to allow me. Alright, what did it like? The term install ADDS controller is not recognized. Didn't like that? Install dash ADDS DOMAIN CONTROLLER. Why didn't you like that? Was it a typo? Let me see. Active Directory, Domain Services, DOMAIN domain, CONTROLLER. Yeah, so because they're saying here that this wasn't legit. It took everything else. Alright, let's look this up and see what I messed up. Install domain control and Active Directory. So install dash ADDS domain DOMAIN controller. Install Active Directory controller. Huh. Install DNS. And then the domain name. Unless I'm looking at something wrong. Okay, so um, I know what's wrong. I think I need to. I think I need to install the Windows features first. Hold on. Type. I think I jumped ahead. So I think I need to install um, so install Windows feature name AD management tools. So it couldn't find the feature that I'm trying to tell it to install. So that was a typo because I'm like wondering what's going on, and it's correct. So you need to install the Windows feature first, and then after that feature is installed, you use that feature to do what you need to do. So 84% is installing the feature that I need. And then I can go back and install. So there you go. The domain services feature is installed. So now I can go back and hit this one. There we go. Now it's asking for a password. All right, there we go. So now we're rocking. So you can see now that it's going through creating the delegation, adding the DNS, creating the domain, controller policies, and then adding this DC to the domain. So that was it. Um, I jumped ahead. Sorry. I had to look deeper into it to see if I missed something, which I did. So now we do have Active Directory loaded. Our DCs are coming online. And then now, once this is added, there's another step that's to it where I need to add this. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for the subscription. Yeah, now we need to add. Appreciate you. We need to add this computer now to the domain. So let's go ahead and check on DC01, how we're looking over here. And let's log back in, see if we got some updates. All right, so let's check and see. There we go. So now you guys can see now by checking that we have 1, 2, 3 domain controllers respectfully with their names that are all joined to the domain. Appreciate you guys for subscribing. So this now tells that tells us that these three DCs are collectively running. So let's go back and just verify. But DC03 is good to go. Still applying settings, and DC02 is good to go. As far as domain controller settings go. So now we can go ahead and join PC01 to the domain. So let's go ahead and do it. We can do it here, PC name, and we can scroll down all the way to the bottom and do advanced system settings. And then on the computer name, we want to go to change, and then we're going to do domain. But my friends, this is one of the things that I wanted to show you guys before we moved on. So we set up our DCs. We know our DCs are good to go, right? And according to the recommendations that were built out, right? When the company ordered their laptops, they ordered Windows 11 Home, right? So right here, what I'm about to show you now is one of the problems that we have to fix. So basically, if you take a look at this, I'm trying to add a computer to the domain, PC01, but this doesn't allow me because it's only staying in the workgroup. So if I go over to system settings, so just type in system info right here, you'll see that the company only ordered Windows 11 Home. Windows 11 Home won't allow you to get on a domain because of either its restrictions. So by default, the company kind of made a mistake. So as the administrator, what would be the next step for you to actually fix this? And this is going to be something I'll probably add to my troubleshooting class as well for my new admins. So let me add that to my list of things. So basically, what we need to do at this stage is we need to change the license from Windows 11 Home so that we can get Windows 11 Pro. Now, there's many ways you can do this. Let's go to try to get onto the browser real quick. If you do a Google search, right? If you do a Google search, you can see that um, you can find there's a key that's provided by Microsoft that you can use to upgrade your system. It's not necessarily um, it's not a license key. It's just a key that's going to help you to upgrade, right? And I'm looking. I think this is it from here. I think this is the key. That's the key we need. All right, so there's a few things how you're gonna do this. So once we have the key that we need to expand. Basically, you're just expanding the features of Windows 11 so that you can install Windows 11 Pro package, and then from there, after you install a Pro package, you can license Windows 11 properly. So if you have Windows 11 Home and you're trying to get Windows 11 Pro, this is how you do it. First, you need to go ahead and make sure that your internet connection is not connected. So you need to disable that, right? So there's multiple ways. Like I said, you can do stuff. You can go here and disable your internet connection right there so that it's not connected. So then what you want to go to in here, you want to go to I don't think it's grab the key. So I think we need to go from here. We need to go to activation. Yeah. So once you're here to activate, and you can see we need to change the product key, and we're gonna just go ahead and put that key in that we had earlier, right? And the product key is going to basically expand your Windows platform. So that product key you're in, you're going to click next, and it's going to say upgrade your edition. You just want to go ahead and click start, and then it's going to prepare your Windows for upgrade. Let's watch it. It says 0%, and it's going to go through the whole process phase of upgrading your system. All right, there goes. We're adding the features for your Windows 11 box. So this is basically promoting it from Windows 11 Home to Windows 11 Pro. Okay, while this is running around, we can try to see if our controllers are up and running. All right, so this is going to take a little bit. So let's go ahead and take a good pause real quick so I can grab some water. All right, so we are back. Hopefully, you guys can see. And just want to show you now that we're going to pull up our Windows 11 box, and we're just going to go to System Information now. And you should see the difference now that our Windows 11 moved from Home to Pro. So now, if we go to PC name earlier, and we were trying to join this to the domain, right? So if you scroll down and went to advanced settings and try to do a computer name, if we did a change, now you have the option to join this to the domain. So this is going to be um, probably something I add really to my troubleshooting guide for my new technicians to see how well they can actually do. So now we're going to go to globaltech.com, right? And first things first, we should get an error, but I'm going to see if you don't get an error, that means DNS is working. So we're just going to go ahead and click OK, and there you go. So basically, right here, it's saying that it can't contact the DNS. It can't contact the domain controller. And whenever you see this, this is normally like a DNS problem, or a connection issue, or a networking issue. So if you think about this, if you go to network settings and we look at this, you can see, well, one, for example, this was disabled. So let's go ahead and enable this. So that is one of the issue, right? All right, so let's go back and try again. And like I said, if this goes through without any errors, so we're still clicking to still get that, even though the network is coming up, right? So what we could do is basically look at this and see, okay, even though this is picking up an IP address, it's not picking up the DNS that it needs properly, right? Now, there's multiple ways that you can do this. So you can, if you have computers in the network and you want to push, right? You want to push the domain, the DNS across properly. Now, there's certain ways you can do this. You can put this in manually, right? If you choose to, or we can use a group policy to push out the default DNS settings, right? So there used to be a policy that we could work on. So let me see if it still exists. So let's go to our DC real quick and open up. So this time we're gonna go to GP update. So we're gonna not GP update, group policy. So first time jumping in group policies. Okay, so this is where we are with your group policy. This is where we manage policies and stuff like that. So what we want to do is we want to go to group policies and we want to create a new group policy and link it here. And we're going to call this DNS settings. Click OK. Now with the DNS settings, we can open this up, click edit, and under computer configuration, it should be like, I think it's admin templates, and then network, I think DNS client, and then look for DNS servers. So then by default, if we change this, as you can see, it will tell you, if you enable this, you can just read this, it will tell you, if you enable this policy, the list of DNS servers is applied to all network connections using by DNS clients. So if you enable this right here, we do an IP address of the DNS servers, right? And this is an old group policy settings, because as you can see, it says supported on Windows XP Professional. So I don't even know if they still work it here. We can check out all the settings and see. I don't know if it will still even work for new machines across the network like Windows 11 and so forth. So like I said, this is an old settings. Not sure if it will ever even play out this way. But it's like a really old technology. Well, old GPO settings. That's how we used to set it for back in the day. But it shows on the Windows XP, so you never know. We can always do a GP update on the box itself. Okay, so we can always go back over to our PC, and I'm not sure if this is gonna work. This is actually a test too, because this has been since Windows XP days. Honestly, let's do GP PowerShell. Okay, so let's go ahead and update one more time. Yeah, I was reading up on some stuff on Microsoft. I don't think that works anymore because it's an older it's an older yeah, it's an older group policy, so you won't find it working. All right, either way, there's other ways to do stuff like that, but we'll figure that out later. So just go ahead and just put in your DNS in here, 192.168.1.101. Sorry for wasting your time on that piece. 92. But there is we can do PowerShell. We can use PowerShell to actually do it as well. It'll just be when we do scripting later. Um, okay. So click OK and click close, and then from here DNS is in. So if we hit this, now you can see that it populates. So we're just going to do globalcheck.com slash administrator right there. And then right here, log in to join. And then it's going to give you that welcome to globalcheck.com. There you go. And once you're in, click close, restart now. And there you go. You have Windows 11 joining the domain. All right, so back onto our server settings. Now that we have our Active Directory users set up, we can go to domain controllers and we should see all three. Perfect. Now, if we go to computers, yep, PC01 is now also online and it is good to go. So this is the time now we can take the time to build out our OU structure. And so from here, if you want to do an OU, it's really easy. You just right click and do new organizational unit, printer, user, share folder, and so forth, and groups. I am going to build this out using a script because it's a little bit easier when you build in multitudes or multiples of user accounts. But for you, if you're trying to practice and trying to get your hands on for the first time, just right click and just go to new, and you're just going to be doing a new organizational unit. So it's just going to be something like this. You can uncheck this and then you can just name this NYC and click OK. And then under NYC, you will break it down based on the criteria that we went over in the beginning. Where was it? Yeah, so we'll break out all the branches. So you'll just do OUs and then we'll just do each OU has a sub OU. So NYC, then you'll just do under NYC, you'll do another OU, and we'll call this like HR. And then from there, you just do another one and call it IT. Click OK. And so forth. So you're just going to go ahead and build these out accordingly, right? And you can get your whole infrastructure working. So, for example, we'll do new OU here, and we're going to do LA, new OU, LON for London. And then under each of these, you're going to build out the structure, just the way this was presented, right? The branch, and then what's underneath the branch, right there. That's the new homework that you guys need to work on. And then after that, we're gonna work into building out all of these um, names and stuff. And then we'll go into building the user accounts, and then we'll start on group policies. All right. So I'm gonna stop here for everyone to follow along, and I think this will wrap up just part two of it. I don't want it to make it too long. But this will basically give you the condition set of where we at. So if you're following along now with the guide, go ahead and start building out the rest of your OUs, and then I will pick up back with you after we after we get back. I'll pick this back up with you as we move forward. Okay. So without further ado, thank you guys so much for watching. I will dissect this video, chop it up, and then recreate the part two of it so that you guys can um, follow along and keep up to date. So hopefully you guys got something out of this. Like I said, I'm taking it step by step. Don't want to overwhelm you too much. So stay tuned for more, and we're going to work on part three here shortly. Don't forget to like and subscribe, share it with your friends, share it with your family members, share it with